Ramadan is ending, but your most important moment with Allah may not have happened yet. Some of the most important moments in a believer's life arrive very quietly. The end of Ramadan is one of those moments. As the month begins to draw to a close, many people slowly start relaxing. The long days of fasting are almost finished. The late nights of prayer have taken their toll on the body. The routines that filled the past weeks begin to loosen, and people start thinking about returning to normal life again. Meals will return to regular hours, sleep will come earlier, the daily rhythm of Ramadan will soon disappear. And this is where something very important begins to happen inside the heart. Because the final days of Ramadan reveal what a person truly values. For some people, the ending of Ramadan feels like relief. They feel they have completed the obligation, they fasted the days, they prayed some nights. In their minds, the work is already done. So their effort quietly begins to slow down. But the believer who understands Ramadan feels something very different. Instead of relaxing, their focus becomes stronger. Their heart becomes more alert. Because they realize something many people forget. The greatest moment of Ramadan may not have happened yet. Laylatul Qadr is hidden within these final nights, a night Allah describes as better than 1,000 months. A single sincere prayer on that night can carry the reward of an entire lifetime of worship. One moment of honest repentance can erase years of mistakes. One heartfelt dua can change the direction of a person's future. And the strange reality is this: many people reach the most powerful nights of Ramadan exactly when their seriousness begins to fade. That is why the last Friday of Ramadan is not just another day in the month. It becomes a quiet moment of reflection. A moment that asks a very honest question to every heart. Were you simply passing through Ramadan, or were you truly searching for Allah? The last Friday of Ramadan quietly exposes who is serious and who is just comfortable. The last Friday of Ramadan carries a quiet kind of significance that many people do not fully notice. On the outside, it may appear like any other Friday. People prepare for the congregational prayer, the streets move normally, and daily responsibilities continue as usual. But inside the heart of a believer, this moment feels different. Because by the time the last Friday arrives, Ramadan has already revealed a great deal about our relationship with Allah. At the beginning of the month, almost everyone feels motivated. The first fast brings excitement. The first nights of Taraweeh fill the mosques. People open the Quran with renewed intention, hoping this Ramadan will be different. But as the days pass, something slowly changes. The body becomes tired, the routine becomes familiar, the excitement that filled the early days begins to fade. And this is where the real test of Ramadan appears. Because when the energy fades, only sincerity remains. Some people slowly return to comfort. They begin sleeping through the night prayers. Their Quran remains closed more often. Their focus begins shifting back toward ordinary distractions. But the serious believer responds in the opposite way. Instead of slowing down, they become more careful with their time. They protect the final days of Ramadan more than the first. They pray longer, they make more dua, they guard their hearts more carefully. Because they understand something powerful. The ending of an act of worship often reveals its true value. Just as a runner must push hardest near the finish line, the believer knows the last moments of Ramadan may hold the greatest rewards. And the last Friday quietly exposes the difference between someone who visited Ramadan and someone who truly sought the mercy of Allah. When most people slow down, the true believer pushes harder. Every year, the same pattern quietly appears during Ramadan. The beginning of the month is filled with energy. Mosques overflow with worshippers. People eagerly attend prayers. Quran recitation increases, and the atmosphere feels spiritually alive. But as the month moves forward, the physical effort begins to accumulate. Fasting for many days becomes tiring. Sleep schedules become irregular. The body begins to feel the weight of late nights and early mornings. And slowly, many people begin to reduce their effort. They still fast, but their worship becomes lighter. The long prayers become shorter. The time spent remembering Allah slowly decreases. But the believer who truly understands Ramadan responds in a completely different way. Instead of slowing down, they increase their effort as the month nears its end. Because they know something the companions of the Prophet ﷺ understood very well. The most valuable nights of Ramadan are hidden in its final days. Laylatul Qadr, the night of decree, is placed within the last 10 nights of the month. Allah describes this night as better than 1,000 months, meaning that a single night of sincere worship can carry the reward of more than 80 years. When a believer truly reflects on this reality, their perspective changes completely. How could someone slow down when the greatest opportunity of the entire month is still ahead? So while others begin relaxing, the sincere believer becomes more focused. They guard their nights carefully, they stand longer in prayer, they increase their remembrance and their supplications, because they know that somewhere within these final nights, Allah may open a door of mercy that could change their life forever. The most dangerous trap in the last days of Ramadan is comfort. One of the quietest obstacles in the path of spiritual growth is comfort. It does not appear in a dramatic way. It does not force a person to abandon worship completely. Instead, it whispers softly to the heart and slowly lowers a person's effort. During Ramadan, the believer spends weeks training the soul. Hunger weakens the control of the nafs. Long nights of prayer soften the heart. The Quran begins to speak to places inside the soul that daily life often keeps hidden. Little by little, the believer begins to change. But when the final days of Ramadan arrive, the body naturally begins to feel tired. The routine of fasting and late nights begins to weigh heavily. And this is when comfort begins to speak. A person may start thinking, I have already fasted the entire month. I prayed many nights, I tried my best. These thoughts sound harmless, but they carry a hidden danger. Because comfort encourages the believer to slow down exactly when the greatest opportunities are still ahead. The nafs loves ease. It loves the moment when discipline begins to weaken. But the serious believer recognizes this pattern. They understand that the final stretch of Ramadan is not meant for relaxation. Just as a traveler gathers their strength when they see the destination approaching, the believer gathers their focus when the final days appear. Because the rewards of Ramadan are not evenly spread throughout the month. Some of the greatest gifts are hidden in its final moments. And those moments are often missed by the people who allow comfort to quietly take control of their hearts. The final nights of Ramadan are where lives are quietly changed. Many people imagine that the most important moments in life arrive with noise and excitement. They imagine dramatic events or sudden changes that are obvious to everyone around them. But in the journey of faith, the most powerful transformations often happen in silence. Late at night, when the world becomes quiet and distractions fade away, the heart becomes more honest. During the final nights of Ramadan, many believers experience moments like this. Weeks of fasting have already softened the heart. Regular recitation of the Quran has filled the mind with reminders of Allah. The constant rhythm of prayer has slowly drawn the soul closer to its Creator. By the time the last nights arrive, the heart is no longer the same as it was at the beginning of the month. And this is when sincere moments of worship can become life-changing. A person may stand in prayer and remember mistakes from the past. Regret begins to appear in the heart. The believer raises their hands in dua and speaks to Allah with a sincerity that may not have existed before. Sometimes that moment becomes the turning point of a person's life. Forgiveness replaces guilt, hope replaces despair. The heart finds a direction it had been searching for. Many believers look back years later and realize that a single night in Ramadan changed the way they lived forever. That is why the final nights of Ramadan carry such deep importance. Because somewhere within those quiet hours, Allah may open a door of mercy that changes everything. One night of sincere worship can rewrite the story of your life. There are many nights in our lives that pass without leaving any lasting mark. We sleep, we wake up, and the next day continues exactly the same as the one before it. But there are also certain nights that quietly shape the entire direction of a person's future. The last nights of Ramadan carry the possibility of becoming one of those nights. Within these final days, Allah has hidden Laylatul Qadr, the night of decree. A night so valuable that Allah describes it as better than 1,000 months. That means a single night of sincere worship can carry the reward of more than 80 years of devotion, a lifetime of prayer contained within one opportunity. When a believer truly understands this reality, the way they view these nights completely changes. They realize that even a short moment of sincere worship could become one of the most valuable moments of their entire life. A quiet prayer in the darkness of the night, a sincere tear falling during dua, a moment of honest repentance when no one else is watching. These small acts may appear insignificant to the world, but to Allah they can carry immense value. Sometimes a single sincere night becomes the moment when a person's heart truly returns to Allah. Old sins are forgiven, heavy burdens are lifted. A person who once felt lost begins finding clarity again. And the most remarkable part is this: many people may sleep through the very night that could have changed their life. But the believer who understands the value of these nights continues searching. They continue praying, they continue asking, they continue hoping, because they know that somewhere within these final nights, Allah may write a new chapter for their life. The believer feels a quiet sadness when Ramadan is about to leave. As Ramadan begins to reach its final moments, many sincere believers experience a feeling that is difficult to explain. It is not relief, it is not excitement, it is a quiet sadness. For nearly a month, life felt different. The days were shaped by fasting, the nights were filled with prayer. The Quran returned to the center of daily life. Even ordinary moments carried a deeper sense of purpose. Ramadan creates an atmosphere that is difficult to find at any other time of the year. Hearts become softer, people become more generous. The distance between a servant and their Lord feels smaller. And as the final days approach, the believer begins to realize that this special season is about to leave. That realization creates reflection. A person begins thinking about the prayers they made, the moments they felt close to Allah, the nights when the Quran touched their heart in a way they did not expect. But they also remember the moments they wasted, the nights they slept through, the opportunities they may never receive again. Because the truth is something many people quietly forget. Every Ramadan that arrives is not guaranteed to return for us again. Some people who fasted with us last year are no longer here today. And some of us may not live long enough to witness the next one. This awareness does not create despair. Instead, it creates sincerity. It reminds the believer that Ramadan was never just a routine month in the calendar. It was a rare gift from Allah, a chance to return to Him, a chance to repair the heart, a chance to change the direction of a life. And as this gift begins to leave, the believer holds on to its final moments with gratitude, humility, and hope that Allah accepted every sincere effort made during these precious days.